Well, let's have a moment of no silence for the
Okay.
end of the 4 years of American carnage.
Can we exhale? I feel like we need to
A
exhale.
group
A
exhale.
group
Yeah.
exhale
All
as
right.
a nation.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Avant In podcast, a culture and politics podcast. I am your host, Tover Wagner.
And I'm your other host, Jerome Allen. Damn, it's over. Finally.
Five. Really five. 5.5.
500 years is what it felt like.
It's been half a century.
Where were you when you found out about, I'm not going to say his name, our former president winning?
I was in bed and I couldn't sleep. I was waiting. And then I remember, I don't think it was like pretty much all called by the end of the night. And then the next day and I remember having to go to class. I was still in college. And I just remember everyone just being so bummed and not even having to talk about it, not even having to say the words, just a look.
Mm-hmm.
But you were in Ukraine.
It was my first day of teaching, and I was in the teacher's room, and my director comes in, and she says shit in Ukrainian, and I just know my heart drops to the floor. And then I check the news, and it was tough. I mean, it was tough being a representative of the country, so to speak, and feel like I was incongruent with it.
Were people consoling you, or no one really had the perspective there? I mean, certainly your kids you were teaching probably didn't have.
I was only in the town for about 3 days, and then I returned to Kyiv, and then the Peace Corps office was dead silent. Some folks got blackout drunk and were just really hungover. Other folks were sobbing. I mean, it's the closest to group grief and group mourning that I felt that didn't require someone dying.
Yeah, I could agree with that. Compare and contrast that.
Yeah,
so the group joy that we experienced in the streets of New York City.
Oh, we were at a concert, and then we there was champagne.
We were at the park. We were at a full-fledged concert.
True.
Still
we were at a COVID concert. We weren't. No,
we were in the corner of a park.
That's so true.
In a field, and there were people bringing boxes full of champagne bottles into the park. It was so happy. And then I feel like today wasn't necessarily that joy as much as it was just relief. We actually crossed this threshold, and all the anxieties and fear about violence and whatnot, I mean, it was valid. Obviously, I wouldn't call it a peaceful transfer of power, but it happened. We transferred the power to the new president, Joe Biden. He said something about how fragile our democracy is. And I feel like that's what this past month has the past 4 years in general, but everything that happened the past couple of weeks that we've already talked about just makes me realize we were so close to losing everything that we cherish here. Mm-hmm. And I'm just so grateful that we were able to make today happen without any slip ups. And now we can just keep moving forward.
I thought it was good, a really necessary and adequate speech, because I never thought in my lifetime would I hear a sitting president address systemic racism and say, we need to tackle this within our society, and then also talk about climate change, and also talk about healthcare, and also his ego. There was no ego in the whole thing.
Not at all.
It was just, this is what a public servant looks like. He was saying what America needs right now, what the current issues are, and how we're going to tackle them. And I agree. I mean, it warmed this old leftist heart, honestly, to hear and see unity, and have the poet Amanda Gorman.
Gorman.
Goodness, so great, so great. It's cheesy, but after 4 years of infighting, I don't know. I appreciated it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I started off watching the inauguration, still lingering to this thought in my mind of should have been Bernie.
Do you see that meme of Bernie sitting?
He's oh my gosh. He's a meme machine.
He's a meme machine. I am once again asking you.
But even though I had that going in the back of my mind, I was man, I really wish this was Bernie Sanders sitting up there. I was so moved by the entire ceremony. I cried multiple times. The moment that Vice President Harris was sworn in by Justice Sotomayor, I just could not hold it together, man. It just felt such a powerful, profound moment.
there are many women in line in the presidential succession line.
Oh,
Which
right.
is
So because behind her would be Nancy Pelosi still, right?
right,
So
right. I saw a picture of Obama fist bumping Kamala Harris, and that got me. That one got
well,
me.
it is fun. I mean, there's so many things that are abnormal about this ceremony because of the
Yeah.
circumstances, and that was one that I really enjoyed. Was how much everyone was fist bumping on stage, right?
Except for Garth Brooks. I don't know if you saw this, but Garth Brooks said, "I'm a hug everyone." So he went up to every president, former president, and their wives, or Doug F. M. Hoffman, whatever how you use his last name, um, and gave them full out hugs. And
Garth, you ain't right for that.
it really
Garth, you are
isn't.
not right for
It
that.
really.
There's so many things wrong about Garth Brooks, but that is.
In his cowboy hat.
Oh, okay. Well, speaking of that, though, can we
Yes.
talk about another moment that I did not expect to move me, but seeing Lady Gaga doing the national anthem and Jennifer Lopez performing and stuff,
Oh, Jennifer Lopez is so good.
it really it made me excited to think about, oh my gosh, we're going to have talented artists in the White House again. Let's look back. Like the most famous person I can think of that visited the White House, aside from Kim and Kanye for their own reasons, Kid Rock visited Trump in the White House.
You're not gonna miss him?
No, in no reality, in no world should Kid Rock be invited to visit the White House.
Wait. What about Ted Nugent? You're not gonna miss him?
I'm not going to miss Ted Nugent. Is that what this podcast is going to be? Just like all the things we're not going to miss?
Oh, I could rattle a few off.
Okay. Ask me again parting words for Trump.
What are your parting words for our former president?
You will not be missed. You will not be missed.
Period.
Period. Full stop. You won't be missed. Ted Nugent won't be missed. Your fucking daughters and your sons.
That the overpriced golf trips, the photo op with the McDonald's. You remember that picture?
I mean, it's so much. It's hard to recap it all.
It's so much. Joe Biden already blocked the Keystone Pipeline. He signed several executive orders an hour after being sworn in.
Yeah, which were all honestly great, but another reminder of like, Trump took us several steps back, and all of those executive actions just brought us right back to where we started.
Yeah, luckily his ego got in the way of doing anything like permanent. I mean, other than the fact that Mitch McConnell stacked the court with judges, and we have to live with that for the next 10 or so years.
Right. So all these amazing actions on day one that Biden has done, you look at them, stopping the construction of the border wall, which, hello, wait, were people as of yesterday still constructing that? Like there were people who showed up to work in the morning being like, gotta put another brick in this wall.
I don't know if you saw this, but Aryan boy, Josh Hawley, they wanted to fast track Biden's Department of Homeland Security cabinet off. I can't quite
Yes,
remember.
that's exactly what it was.
That's what it was. And then Hawley voted against it. So they now he's to the full confirmation because he did not ensure him that they were going to continue building the border wall because funds were allotted to it. Which
Mexico never did pay for that wall, huh?
no.
Mexico never paid for the wall.
No.
We never saw the healthcare plan.
No.
Infrastructure week never happened.
Oh, I thought I slept through it. Darn. Okay, that's good to know.
You did not black out.
Okay.
We never saw the tax return.
Did we ever get his birth certificate?
I never saw it.
Never got that one either.
I just think it's crazy that like everybody knew that Biden would have stopped the border wall construction, but I just hate the idea that someone had to show up to work every day and keep building it, knowing that in a few weeks they were just going to have to start demolishing.
Right.
I mean, are they demolishing it or what are they doing?
Fully know because I don't know. I would hope so, but I feel like it's going to be more costly to get rid of it than to not. It might just stand there.
Yeah. So anyways, the executive actions, it's a great clean slate. We're back in the Paris Climate Accord. The travel ban has been revoked.
Yes.
It's just nice to be at least at a starting point where we can now build from that and continue on from where we left off, hopefully without letting Trump's legacy hold us back too much.
I don't think it will. I think it's always going to be, I don't want to support like an amnesic way of viewing the last 4 years because that in itself would only lead us back to another fascist president. But at the same time, I still think it's always going to be a weird memory to think that this like septuagenarian orange, like tanned man was yelling at us through Twitter 30, 40 times a day and was wrecking shit every day. I mean, it was a new notification every day about something else.
Which I just read recently that the Donald J. Trump Presidential Library has archived all of his tweets so that they will be available to the public.
Did you say library? Where is this?
It's not a real building, but I guess
okay.
it has a website and it is a foundation. They just haven't done anything. The first thing they've done is archive all the tweets because that's going to be important. You could build a library just of his tweets.
I would not. That would be such a distressful read if you just read them all like at once. But what are 5 things you want Biden to do off the top of your head?
I mean,
we're gonna bully Biden. What are you gonna bully him for?
I am firmly anti-bully, but I think that in his position, it's impossible for me to bully him without having any power over him, right? So I would say, number one answer. There's my politically correct answer. I don't bully, but I will bully this old man. Top of my list is actually, might surprise you, and that would be marijuana legalization. This topic is one that he has not firmly taken any sort of stance one way or the other on. He's sort of dodged the issue altogether, but it encapsulates so many different facets of what's going on right now that, you know, in the sense of like, it could, one, help us through this economic struggle. You know, the tax revenue and all that is going to help many states recover from the pandemic. On top of that, it's related to criminal justice reform and mass incarceration. I don't think you should just legalize it without letting all of those people out of jail that committed nonviolent drug offenses.
Mm-hmm.
And also, it's just the right thing to do and is popular among the majority of Americans. So I think that would be silly for him to overlook. And I think it's crazy that he hasn't made a statement directly related to that yet. So that's on top of my list. After that, I would say continue to actually commit to climate change and enable many of the facets of the Green New Deal, which he has also sort of distanced himself from. So if he's not going to support the Green New Deal, I would like to see a more comprehensive detail of what he does plan to do.
The centrist Green Deal?
The somewhat old, somewhat new, somewhere in the middle, let's all hug our neighbor.
The Green New establishment, we're going to plant a tree for every tree we cut down plan.
Yeah. But attached with the original New Deal was a lot of, you know, infrastructure change and private sector jobs. And you can count those as 2 right there. We need more federally private sector or public sector jobs. Also, I want to see more of this student loan forgiveness stuff going. He had brought up $1,000 as a debt relief. Sorry, $1,000. He had proposed $10,000 as student debt relief. $1,000.
That's a good scholarship. That's a McDonald's scholarship.
I would not even accept that money. It's so disrespectful. But yeah, I think that we need to see a lot more of that as well. What about you? What are you trying to bully this old man about?
All right. Give me your lunch money, Biden, Joseph R. Biden. Little side note. I just want to do a little flashback of like back on the campaign trail when Biden would talk about the former president and how if he could, he'd take him outside and beat him up.
Behind the bleachers, right?
Behind the bleachers. So
so you want that to just actually happen?
Not anymore.
You're gonna bully him into bullying another old man.
I thought the "Will you please shut up" meme was a good that honestly was enough for me. I would like one President's Day to be abolished and that for Election Day to be a national holiday. I think that's quite necessary to answering the voter suppression thing that I've been looking at. I would like him to lobby and use a bully pulpit to make DC and Puerto Rico, of course, bar the island's political leanings on what they would like to do with that. I do want to see his healthcare plan come to fruition. I do want there to be a single payer plan because the American healthcare system is a beast and it is meant to be convoluted. I mean, luckily, I don't know if you saw this, but in the recent stimulus bill, they only now have prevented surprise medical bills. So the fact that that was still a thing up until last month shows to me that there's so much more that needs to be reformed.
There's one that I didn't bring up because I thought that you would address it.
What is it?
Just defund the police.
Yeah. I mean, he already said he doesn't agree with the idea of it. But
okay, sorry. I would like to hear his platform on police reform
as the centrists like to say. Yes, police reform. And I mean, if anything, I'm quite curious on what, because, his speech was addressing, like, white supremacy is not going to, will not win in this country. We got to fight systemic racism. Okay. I wonder what's the plan? Because we have many a plans. We have the eight can't wait. We have, eight can't wait abolish. I mean, we have there's,
He could pick and choose his favorite parts.
Mhm.
People have already done the work.
Yeah. I'm kind of obsessed with Dr. Jill Biden. I really want to like see her give a talk or something. She's so brilliant.
I'm a huge fan as well.
I'm such a big fan.
Also, I
I
think
don't know
it's
shit
super
about Doug, but I
adorable.
love Jill.
Every single time he says, "I'm Jill's husband," I think it's so adorable. I watched the night before his inauguration, he gave a speech in Delaware, I guess, as he was heading to DC, and he cried through most of it. It was a very emotional speech, and it
Oh.
had me tearing up too. But at the very end, she comes out on stage, and that's all he says is, "I'm Jill's husband." So,
He's gonna be the Jimmy Carter of our generation, I tell you. He's just gonna be a nice man. Some of the things I disagree with the man on,
he is
at
a
least he
nice
leads. At
man.
least a public servant. At least he leads with his heart. That's better than what we've been dealing
I mean,
with.
you're talking about someone like dedicating their life to public service. Like he was the youngest senator ever elected, and now he's the oldest
Oldest
president.
president ever elected.
I can't
Lovely
think
how
of
the universe ties knots like that.
right. You couldn't possibly name someone who has committed more of their life to uh, public service in this country.
True. True.
It's quite incredible.
So you think Kamala's gonna finally talk about or confront her prosecutor past? We're just never gonna talk about it anymore?
No way.
Goodness.
No,
Goodness.
she's not going to talk
No,
about it.
Kamala, isn't it wild that our first female vice president, first black female vice president, has to do like double the work? She's a 101st senator, basically.
Yeah.
She's going to be breaking so many ties. So many ties.
Right. It's so funny how we had a vice president who was basically just useless for 4 years, and now we have one who's like so integral to everything that happens.
Extremely important. What do you think? How do you think the impeachment thing is going to go?
I suppose I could tack this onto our list of things to bully Biden about. Is that
Ooh.
I think that I just don't want him to impede any sort of investigations. Right. I don't want him to. Obviously, he's not going to pardon him, but I think the Department of Justice needs to at least a thorough investigation. And I think the impeachment itself is not going to happen. And I do not trust, even though Senator McConnell jumped ship, I don't think all the senators will.
Well, they need 17 in order to convict.
They're too scared of his base, and I think that they already, they're already guilt free because he didn't win a second term, right?
There's a part of me that agrees with you, but there's also a part of me that feels like the amnesia that I was referring to earlier is more going to happen on the right than it will happen with the left. I think there's going to be a lot of distancing, and I mean, as I said his name. Anyway,
so I've said it several times.
I was.
You want to? We could put a little bleep sound in.
Which I will. We will. He's gonna have so many court cases, and it's just gonna be like court case after court case after court case after court case, and they're not gonna come out in support for any of it. The impeachment will be surprising in how many people will turn against him, but as I said in the last cast, it would behoove them to bar him from having a public office, but I don't know if will be his impediment, or will it be all his court cases?
Yeah, either way, his life is not going to be easy. Transitioning out of this White House situation, he's going to be dealing with a lot of legal problems, and also, shout out to his lawyers who convinced him at the last minute to not pardon himself and his children, which he planned to do. His lawyers convinced him that it was going to make him look guilty and cause more legal trouble for him if he pardoned them. Which, I mean, I don't think that's the wrong thing to do, but I do think that's not what you were supposed to do as your job as his lawyer, right? It seemed to me like he should have at least tried to pardon himself.
Well, the state of Georgia is going to charge him, and the Southern District of New York is coming for that ass. So,
Well, I will say this, though. Speaking of pardons.
Yeah.
And you can quote me on this.
Okay.
This maybe the first
time. Let me get out my quill and.
Actually, don't actually quote me on this. But this is the first time I've ever agreed with Trump on anything.
Oh, my goodness.
And what that is
I need to find a new co-host.
What this country needs right now, more than anything, is a new Kodak Black album. and he is helping us deliver
Kodak
that.
Black. He also pardoned Lil Wayne too.
Do you remember, like 6 months ago, you and I were talking about Lil Wayne and him supporting Trump, and we were saying, why the hell is he doing this? There's your answer. This is exactly why he did
pardon,
this.
Baby.
It's exactly why he did it.
I guess we didn't know that Biden. Well, I mean, Biden. No, why Biden pardoned Lil Wayne?
I mean, the president barely ever pardons anyone until the last,
Yeah, actually, it's tradition for them to pardon because I know he had like 120. It's tradition for them to pardon a lot of people on the last day.
Joe Exotic apparently ordered a limousine outside of the jail that was there waiting for him because he was expecting a pardon from Trump, and it just never came.
That's so sad, but it's also so presumptuous of him.
How funny is it that Trump pardoned Kodak Black and Lil Wayne?
What's his name? Joe Exotic, yeah.
But on the other side of that coin is also a very dark thing that he also pardoned Steve Bannon, who fully deserves to be rotting in prison for the rest of his life. So,
correct.
As much as I kid about the new Kodak Black album,
you're not really excited for the Bannon mixtape.
I'm super disheartened that Bannon is a free man.
We've had an exciting last 3 episodes because there's so much shit has happened in the last 3 weeks. And I'm kind of excited for some future episodes where we're not even going to have to think about politics.
Oh my gosh, I cannot wait till we can have an episode all about Cardi B. Truly, I for the next few weeks, we're hosting a Joe Biden podcast, Joe Biden administration.
It's going to be the Biden rundown, the buy down, and at some point it'll peter off, and then we'll get to Cardigan Backyardigan, also known as Cardi B.
We still don't really know how Joe Biden is going to govern, and I expect him to be more progressive than I thought he'd be in the primaries, but I don't expect him to fill the hole in my heart that is President Bernie Sanders.
Yes, this is true. I agree with you 2 times. I think he has moved with the party as a party has moved more left. I think he has moved with it in terms of, I think he's just right in the middle of the center of the centrists and of the progressives. So I think he's going to give everyone what they want.
Yeah.
And I mean, the whole unity message, this is a part of it, right?
He was born to give that speech about unity.
He was born to give that
and
speech.
When he says, I'm going to be a president for all Americans, I think he means it 100%. And I think he's really going to do everything he can to be bipartisan. And whether you like that or not, maybe that is what we need right now, just to have things settle down a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I want him to be as progressive as humanly possible,
right? Because
that's what I think is best for the country. But I also don't want a civil war. And I don't think anyone does. And so his rhetoric about unity, I think it is important.
Well, we got to wrap up. But what's like a sentence or a phrase you would like to speak into existence for the next 4 years?
Let's all hope for a brighter future and a less fascist one.
That's good. Very Miss America of you.
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, We all want a better future, but I specifically would definitely prefer a less fascist one. What about you?
Now that we punched all the Nazis, now we can get down to work. All right.
We could have punched more Nazis.
Thank you for listening to the Avant End this week. If you like that, please like and subscribe us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google, and your local pool, the library. Our tag is at the Avant End. We got lucky.
Yeah, and if you really liked what you heard, please don't forget to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. It helps a whole lot. Or tell a friend about us. Word of mouth goes a long way. I'd like to give special thanks to our theme music, City of Angels by Lakey Inspire.
Again, I am Jerome Allen.
And I'm Topher Wagner.
Thank you. We love you.
Bye-bye.